Long ago, when the world was young and the gods still walked among mortals, there was a city unlike any other, Atlantis. It was a place of towering marble structures, endless fields of gold, and crystal-clear waters that shimmered under the sun. Atlantis was a beacon of wisdom, power, and technology that far surpassed anything the rest of the world had known. At its heart stood the grand temple of Poseidon, the god who had blessed the Atlanteans with their strength and riches. Under the rule of King Atlas, Atlantis prospered. The people revered Poseidon, honoring him with offerings and prayers, and in return, Poseidon protected them with his mighty power, guarding the city with a force beyond mortal comprehension. But with time, pride grew in the hearts of the Atlanteans. They began to see themselves as invincible, equal even to the gods. King Atlas's sons, especially his eldest, Prince Amun, grew restless with the limits of their dominion. Amun, ambitious and daring, desired to expand Atlantis's power across all lands and seas. He called together the most brilliant minds, and with their advanced knowledge, he built massive warships, great machines, and weapons capable of conquering distant territories. With each victory, Amun's pride swelled, and his respect for Poseidon diminished. As the Atlanteans pushed further, invading lands and enslaving people, Poseidon grew angry. He saw his gift of power turned into an instrument of arrogance and cruelty. But Atlantis's people, intoxicated by their success, ignored the signs of his anger. They laughed at the storms that grew on the horizon, the waves that grew higher, and the earth that trembled beneath their feet. One night, during a grand feast in the palace, a storm unlike any other rose on the sea. Thunder roared, and lightning split the sky. The waters around Atlantis began to churn, wild and angry, as if the ocean itself had come alive. Prince Amun dismissed it as a passing storm, but the older priests felt a deep dread. They knew this was not a mere storm, it was the wrath of Poseidon himself. The waves grew larger, crashing against the city's protective walls with terrifying force. Great cracks spread through the palace walls, and the Atlanteans fled into the streets, panic rising in their hearts. King Atlas climbed to the highest tower, watching helplessly as his kingdom was swallowed by Poseidon's fury. He called out to the god, begging for mercy, promising to restore honor and reverence, but it was too late. As the people of Atlantis scrambled to higher ground, they watched in horror as the earth beneath them began to shake violently. Buildings that had stood for centuries crumbled into dust, and great statues toppled over as if struck by an unseen hand. The crystal waters that had once brought them life and prosperity rose higher, flooding the city, dragging everything under. In the final moments, Prince Amun, who had brought the wrath upon them, stood by the temple of Poseidon, staring at the rising water. For the first time, he felt true fear, knowing he had brought this ruin upon his people. He looked toward the sky, seeking forgiveness, but the heavens were dark, and the thunder drowned his voice. The waves surged over Atlantis, swallowing the city in an instant. Towers, palaces, temples, all of it was buried beneath the waves, lost to the depths of the ocean. The cries of the Atlanteans faded into silence as the ocean settled, its anger spent, leaving no trace of the once great civilization. But Atlantis was not forgotten. For ages, sailors and explorers spoke of the lost city that lay beneath the waves, a cautionary tale of a people who rose too high and fell too far. And on certain nights, when the sea was calm and the moonlight touched the water just right, some claimed they could see the shadows of Atlantis far below, a ghostly reminder of a city destroyed by its own hubris. Thus, the legend of Atlantis lived on, a warning to all who dared to defy the gods and believe themselves invincible.